So in this video we're going to talk about this.
Someone told me long ago. There's a calm before the storm. I know it's been common for some time. When it's over, so they say. It'll rain a sunny day. I know shining down.
So we have this MCS character basically speaking the text that we're giving to her. Funny Gun Games, we'll save that, let it play again, and you'll see it'll update the speech that she gives.
Funny Gun Games.
So something to notice about this too that's really nice with this setup is that the character's eyes, let's go ahead and click back in here, the character's eyes are kind of randomly moving around. Right now she's focused on a single target. Her eyes are actually locked looking towards the camera, but she'll blink. She has this nice idle animation going on. And then as the actual voice and stuff plays, we'll go back to this for a demo, you can see that she enunciates the words. And this is all done dynamically
Someone told me
based on
long
the
ago.
audio file.
There's a calm before the storm.
And she's even got this little smile going on, and that's a function of the character. So how to do all this is going to be the point of this video today, is how to take these pieces, rig them up, and create this final product for basically a dynamic text-speaking MCS character. So we're going to jump right into it. This tutorial is probably going to be about 20 minutes or so, give or take a few. There's quite a few steps, but we'll run through all of it and make sure it's not hard for you to get going with this thing and then kind of experiment on your own. So in the spirit of doing this from scratch, we have the usual shopping list of things to get, and then we'll run through some setup. So let's get started with all that. I'm going to take this project and close it right out and start a new one. I got Unity 5.6. This is the timeline beta I'm using, but this should work with any modern version of Unity. So we'll start a new project. We'll call this one Talking Avatar. That sounds pretty good. And while that's going on, let's go ahead and start shopping for some of this stuff here. So the first thing we're going to need is the MCS characters. So we'll go right to their website to download this. Now, you could get them from the Unity Asset Store, I suppose, but they're kind of doing a new thing now, which is pretty cool. So I'm here at morph3d.com/get-started, and down here they've got this developer section where you can download base figures and download Unity plugin. So I'm going to go do it this way. So first I'm going to download the base figures and download the plugin. So both of these files take a little bit to download. The base figures are 748 megabytes. So I'm going to pause this for a moment while it downloads. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of pausing it right away, let's go ahead and just queue everything to download. How about that? So we've got that downloaded. Next thing we're going to need is Salsa. Now, Salsa is a plugin on the Unity Asset Store, found here. It's on sale right now. You can get it while it's hot. 25 bucks. Really cool plugin. So we're going to download that. That's going to do our random eye movement and our basically mouth movement to the audio. So go ahead and download that product. Then the next product we need is the helper. So what this does is Salsa by default could work with this character, but Salsa and MCS have teamed up to create a solution to make it easier. So this is the article here, and the link for this is going to be in the notes, that basically says once you've bought Salsa, you get access to this special product. So click the download file link here. And what it's going to ask you for is your email address, and this is the email address you use to sign up for the Unity Asset Store, purchasing it through it, and then the Asset Store invoice number. So check your email for this. This is going to be that invoice number found right at the top right-hand corner of your invoice for the purchase that you made on the Asset Store. So pop those two values into this field here, hit verify, and it'll bring you to the page to download the MCS character link. So then the next thing we need is RT-Voice. Let's check that out. Again, all the links will be in the notes. So RT-Voice, now this is the piece of software that's going to make it so what we give it in text comes out in basically robot speech. That's that voice generator. So there's that. Also on sale right now too. That's kind of cool. And then the final thing we're going to need is animation for the character. And so this animation is going to be something I'm going to take from the Mixamo website. And you need to log into Mixamo with your Adobe ID. But what's really cool right now is that all the products on their store for Mixamo, as far as I can tell, are all free. So in this case, we're going to need an animation. So I'm clicking animation. And then we're going to need an idle animation. So let's go to idle. Let's see if we can find a good one real quick. Like this one here is probably fine. Comes up in this nice preview. So she's not doing a whole lot. In fact, I don't even think she's swaying a little bit. So we've got some movement. We're going to go ahead and add that to the pack down here. So we're going to put this as talking as the name of the pack. And then we'll get a talking animation too. Just to demonstrate briefly that you can do some kind of cool stuff with the talking. I mean, that's a little dramatic. That'll work. Alright, so we'll add that to the pack as well. So now talking and idle, with those in the pack, we'll click view/download. And then basically it says, this is your pack, queue for download. And then here under format, you want to change this to FBX for Unity. The rest of it's fine, so queue download. And then it goes into processing. It takes just a minute for this to process. And then when it's done processing, we can go ahead and click download. This comes through as a zip file. So you're going to want to find the zip file and you know, once it's done downloading, move it someplace where it's easy to find and import into Unity. So I'm putting this on the desktop. I'm going to take this file. Now there's 3 files. We need the @idle and @talking files. I'm going to move those to the side for now. And with those files lined up, we can go ahead and import them as the first couple of assets into our project. So here's our project. To stay organized, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it animations. And then inside the animations folder, I'll take these 2 FBX files and drag and drop them into the project. So those are our animations. Check. So at this point, we're still waiting on the MCS download to go. It's got a few more minutes. So why don't we go ahead and pause the video at this point. Go ahead and download everything on the checklist, including SALSA, including RT-Voice. Get them all imported into the project, and then we'll meet back at the point where the software is imported. So I'm going to pause it. Actually, let's go ahead and download everything, but don't install the MCS stuff. Basically, you have to install it in order. First, install the MCS. It's called the MCS plugin. You install that first, and then install the characters next. I'll go through that in just a moment too, but let me just say that up front real quick. I'm going to pause it again. Okay, we're back with the download finished. I'm going to step through the installations on this side so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. But so we're going to go to the folder with the downloads, and I'm going to drag these package files into Unity for installation. So assets. I'm going to create a folder called packages so I can easily clean this up later. Packages. And we'll take both of the MCS plugins, drag and drop them into the project. And I'll pause so you don't have to watch that screen. Okay, so after the importer dialog is run, here we are at the import Unity package for the MCS plugin. You want to install the plugin first. That's important. Pausing again. Alright, the first one's installed. Now let's go to the second one. You can't actually drag and drop them both simultaneously, I found out. This is the content package. Left click, drag, drop, decompresses it. And we'll import this content as well. This is the character pack. Now it comes with both male and female. Alright, with that done, we can close that window. The next thing on our shopping list was SALSA. So, asset store, SALSA. There's the package for it. Go ahead and import that one. This should be a lot faster. MCS characters are pretty large. Alright, so importing that. check SALSA, and then we're going to need to download RT-Voice. I'll go ahead and pause that. Alright, so SALSA is now installed, and you can see it down here. It's under Crazy Minnow Studios, and then we need RT-Voice. And there's two versions of this. There's the Pro and there's the regular one. Pro gives you access to the source of some of this stuff. RT-Voice regular keeps them in DLL files. We're going to import regular. This will work for what we need. Again, I'll pause it. Alright, so that's installed. You can see it was crosstail in this project directory. So looking at our list, we've got that and that. Okay, so we have one more thing to download. We're going to need the assistant for SALSA, which I don't know why I have this checked, but let's go to this page here again. And this is the, basically it makes it easier. You one-click set up this package on an MCS character by downloading. Now, like I said, they're going to ask you for authentication to get this. So I'm going to pause this, I'm going to put in my information, click verify, and I'll pick it up right there and join you. Okay, after authenticating, scroll down on this page that I just sent you to and look for MCS. Well, I'm going to search for it on the page. Oops, looks like I switched my recorder over to something crazy. I'm going to go ahead and continue to record the entire screen. Come on, man, what are you doing to me? Let's make this full screen. Somehow. Full screen? Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys. I must have hit a hotkey or something there. Anyway, scrolling down this page, Control F, MCS. You're looking for this one here. Now it says pre and post v1.6. The stuff we just downloaded is version 1.6 of these characters, so make sure you get this one, unless of course you're using different characters. But we're going to go ahead and download this package here, MCS version 1.6 plus. That comes in a zip file. We'll go to that and find it, unzip the file to the desktop, and then from the desktop I'll take this and drag and drop into our project, into the assets folder. And this will import into the Crazy Minnow Studios directory. Okay, so with all that done, we now have everything in place and installed. So we're done with the download section. Well done. Now we'll start configuring stuff. So first thing we'll do is get the character in the scene. Morph3d has made this a lot easier, which is nice. So I'll go to character, figure, I'll find the FBX for it and drag it right into the hierarchy. Figure. There we go. Not sure why that wasn't working at first. So here's our figure. And let's go ahead and set her up a little bit with some stuff. So down here in the inspector, under content packs, I'm going to lock this just so it doesn't keep changing as I flip through the directories. So with clicking the tiny lock, I'll scroll down to content packs and expand that so we can drag and drop content in. So for example, her hair, we'll grab the prefab and drop that in there. It'll get assigned. And then for her outfit, we can do things like the jacket. We're using the prefab files as opposed to the FBX files. So that'll put a jacket on, and then we'll do some pants here. Okay, so now we have some clothing going on for our character. Second step here is we want to set up the RT-Voice stuff. So let's go to RT-Voice, which is under this crazy, Crosstails package. There's two scripts in here that we're going to need. So the first one's going to set up the speaking voice, and the second one's going to set up a text file we're going to read from. So we're going to need speaker. Go ahead and type that in and add that into the inspector. So for her, down at the bottom here, you're looking for this test drive. If you press preview,
you have selected Microsoft David Desktop.
Okay, so that gives you a voice preview. Down here in this drop down, you can set it to the default female voice if you'd like.
You have selected Microsoft Zero Desktop.
And these will probably be different if you're on Mac. I'm on Windows, so we're going to go with that. So I've selected the Zero voice from this set here. So that's configured. So part 2 of this is we want to go down here, and the text file speaker is what we'd like to pick. So right here where it says David, I'm going to type 0 to change the voice. I'm going to leave the rest of these as is, but you would change them accordingly. And then the rest of these settings are looking pretty good, so we'll test it. And nothing happens because we have to assign a file to it. So this little text file widget here, we'll set the size to 1. If you set it to more, it'll iterate through all your text files to read things. So for a text file, let's go ahead and we'll take a copy of this song that we've got here, and I'm going to save it into the project. File, save as, and then we'll browse to it. Projects, sort that by date, talking avatar, assets, and I'll save this directly to the assets folder. We'll call this talking text. And now over here, under elements, we'll click the bullseye, go to assets, and then type in talking text to assign it. So our talking text is some song lyrics here. So now when we press play, or let's test it real quick.
Someone told me long ago.
Okay, so that part's working. Let's press play and see what we get. Now you're going to get silence because there's a few more steps to go here. Step 1, you have to attach an audio source to the object. So here we're clicking on the character who's now been renamed RT-Voice. I'm going to add an audio source. Okay. And then once the audio source is added, we will go back to the text file speaker script and scroll down until you see source down at the bottom here. It says audio source. So clicking that little bullet in the scenes menu, we're going to click RT-Voice. Let's save that whole entire thing. Save it as scene 1. And let's press play and see what we get. Kind of a bad camera angle. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Move the camera. Take the camera, spin it about 180 degrees here. You can see the character better. I'm going to open up the game window too to get a better preview. Shrink that down a bit. Move that over here. And we'll adjust the camera so we get more of a face focus shot. There we go. Okay, cool. So the last little bit of this is under the text file speaker. There's this box that says play on start. Go ahead and click that and press play.
Someone told me long ago.
So
there's a calm before the storm. I know it's been common for...
So now we've got it playing back. That part's working fine. So the text-to-speech bit works. Now we're going to plug in the bit that makes her lip sync to the text-to-speech. And that's the salsa bit of this. So after installing salsa and after installing the MCS plugin for salsa, under components and crazy minnow, we have this MCS salsa one-click setup. Make sure you click the character in the hierarchy first. Components, crazy minnow, MCS, and then the top one, salsa. Click that, you'll notice a bunch of components get snapped onto the character just by default. So with that there, let's go ahead and press play.
Someone told me long ago. There's a calm before the storm.
Right?
I know it's been common for some time.
Okay. So now she's doing the lip syncing and the eyes are working. So one thing to note down here, let's just tweak these values and go over some of this just real quick. The first thing I think is important to note is that there's a Salsa 3D script. If you go to that, scroll down a bit, look at the speech properties. Now, I'm going to make this text slightly longer so we can adjust some of this. But what we're going to look at is this speech properties where it says say small trigger, say medium trigger, say large trigger. This is going to be what I think is based on the waveform of it, when each of those facial gestures kick in at like what threshold, for example. So let's just play this and watch her mouth with the speech adjustments.
There's a calm before
Now
the
if I
storm.
crank it completely up,
I know it's been
nothing.
common for some
If I
time.
crank it completely down,
When it's over, so they say,
down,
it'll rain a
down,
sunny day.
it's totally
I know
kind of messed
shining
up.
down
So
like
the threshold is to find
I
like a
want to
nice
know.
pattern where the
Have
smalls
you
get
ever
picked up, the
seen the
mediums and the
rain?
larges. So
I want to know.
adjust those
Have
dials.
you ever seen the rain? Comment down on a sunny day.
So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to
Yesterday and
copy
days
the
before.
component
Sun is
while
cold
it's
and
running,
rain is hard.
stop it,
I
and then paste those values back on top of it. Paste component values. So now we have that adjusted. The second thing to note with this too is if you're doing something where you have a character and you want her eyes to focus on the character, you can create an anchor for that essentially. So I'll do this with a game object. You could attach the game object to a camera, for example. We'll make this the focus of her gaze essentially. Move that here. We'll call this focus cube, and then we're looking for the random eye script down here, and I'm going to the first one. And then that doesn't seem to be the one, so we'll go to the second one. Okay, in the second one here, we're looking for the target tracking section of the inspector, which is here. And then down here it says look at target. So we can specify a look at target from our scene, and in this case we're going to type in focus cube to give it that. Now, when I run this, watch her eyes with this. One other thing I want to adjust to is the range of motion. We're going to get into that in just a moment.
Someone told me long
Now,
ago.
as I move the cube, her eyes are
there's
going
a
to
calm
follow
before
that
the
cube.
storm. I know it's been common for some time.
Do you see them going back and
When it's
forth? The
over,
movement, I'm
so
going to
they
make it
say,
just larger a little bit. This
it'll
might be
rain
hard
a
to
sunny
see.
day. I know shining down like water.
So there's the eye tracking
I
bit of
want to
this.
know.
One other
Have
dial
you
you
ever
can
seen
adjust
the
with this
rain?
too.
I want.
Let me pause here. I'm sorry if it's hard to hear as she's talking. If we scroll down a bit under eye properties, there's a range of motion that's set to 60. I actually like to crank this up just so her eyes are a little bit more expressive.
No.
Now you can
Have
see
you
that she's
ever seen
really
the
like
rain?
looking around at that thing to
Comment
find it.
down on a
I
sunny
mean, maybe
day.
it's a little cartoony, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yesterday and days before.
Right? Okay, so that's eye tracking. So we've got the eye tracking, we've got the speech working, we've got the text-to-speech stuff working, and how it's working overall is that RT-Voice is able to take a text input and generate into a wave. That wave is then going through the character. The characters, let me show you here, the audio source. So the wave goes to the audio source, and then Salsa picks up the output of that audio source, and that's how it analyzes the lip movement. So if you were to take the audio source and do things to it, it's going to affect the way the output goes.
Someone told me
So watch
long ago.
this. She's talking,
There's a calm before
and
the
if I
storm.
take this
I
volume
know it's been common for.
and turn it completely off, she stops talking. So it is relative to the volume on the speaker.
I know shining down
Keep that
like
in mind.
water. I want to know. Have
Right?
you ever seen the rain?
Okay, so let's take this up just one more level. We've got all these things in place, but she's just kind of static T-pose. Let's give her a couple animations. I won't go through how to rig all the animations necessarily, but we'll just do a little primer on that. So under the character, we're going to look for the animation controller that comes with the MCS character, which is currently called RT-Voice. So we need to give it a controller. So under the animations folder, I'll create a new animation controller. Call this talking, and then I'll assign it to the character. Clicking on controller, typing in talking, kinda. Alright, so she has an animation controller which is seen down here in the animation dialog. Let's make this larger for a moment. Okay, so from here, we've imported those two animations earlier. So we've got our fuse idle and our fuse model talking. Let's add these to the animation controller. So the first one, I'm going to expand it and go down to the idle animation, left click, drag, and drop it into my controller. Just like that. So now this is the default state. If we play it, she should go right into that animation.
Someone told me long ago.
This is the thing.
There's a calm before the storm.
So let's go ahead and pause this and have a look at what's going on. So when grabbing Mixamo animations, Notice she's in this kind of weird pose. So we're going to fix that real quick. So to fix Mixamo, or to change Mixamo animations, not really fix them. They're fine. It's just not for this character. So click the animation in the hierarchy. And then when you do that, go to the inspector. I'm going to unlock the inspector now so I can see this. So with it clicked, I can see it says idle. I'm going to click edit next to that. And then there's a few things we want to do here. First, we're going to want to loop this animation. So I'm going to click loop, and then I'm going to click loop pose, and then click apply at the bottom right. The second thing we need to do to fix that default pose problem, where she goes into a weird look, go to rig and change animation type from generic to humanoid and click apply. With those two things in place, it should really clean it up. Let's have a look.
Someone told me long ago.
Oops, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and take this animation. Where is it? Motions, apply it to none. Something to mention, do these, I should have done them in a different order. You want to do the settings on the animations first and then attach them to your controller, because if you update them, it resets them. So this is what happens if you do it the wrong way. But not a big problem. We go back, reassign the talking animation, and play that. It'll work properly.
Someone told me long ago.
God damn it. Almost. Let me pause it for just a sec. So for some reason, I guess I didn't click save or something. I'm back in the animation. And going to edit. And going to rig. This is set to humanoid, so that looks good. And then in our idle animation here, oh, it's because I assigned talking to it. Sorry guys, you probably saw that or wondered what was going on. So back to Mixamo. I'm going to drag and drop this one that we just recreated onto here, and that should give us the result we're looking for.
Someone told me long ago.
Ah, yes.
There's a calm before the storm.
So we've got a win and a loss here.
I know it's been common for some time.
I'm going to pause this. The animation comes in, but she's got her mouth open like that. And this will be the case for all the animations coming in. We're going to fix that, and that has to do with the avatar itself. Let's do the other animation to rig it up first.
When it's over.
So again, we'll go right through it. This time we're going to do it properly the first time. I'm going to the talking animation, and then I'm looking for the talking animation inside that package. So left clicking that, and then going to edit, we're going to set up two things. The loop, I'm going to click apply. And then we're going to set up the rig. So clicking the rig tab, going for animation type generic to humanoid, making sure to click apply. There it goes, it applied that time. And over here, I'm going to add this animation by left click dragging and dropping it into my animation controller. Let's give it a name. We'll call this one talking. And then we'll put that there. And we'll test that out too. So press play. Let me build a connection to it real quick. So basically, let's make some transitions from idle to talking, like this. And we'll say that you can go from idle to talking by, we'll set a parameter called talking. We'll make it a bool, talking. And then we'll say that to go from idle to talking, you want to go ahead and unclick exit idle time, add a condition. Talking is true. So if talking is true, it goes to talking. Sorry, this isn't really like an animation controller video, but we'll just breeze through it. And then if you want to go from talking back to idle, we want to make sure it has no exit time. And then the condition is going to be talking is false. So let's go ahead and play that.
Someone told
so you can see that,
ago.
And then we'll click talking
There's
is true.
Before the storm.
She goes into her talking animation.
It's been common for some time.
So the mouth is still ridiculous. Let's fix that. And this actually took me a while to figure out, but it's not hard once you know how to figure it. So clicking on the character, which is named RT-Voice, we want to go back to the animation and find the avatar. Left click the avatar to get it to show up in the project. Then left click the avatar in the project and click configure avatar. It's going to ask you, do you want to save your scene? Go ahead and save. Now in the avatar, look for this inspector view of the green body, click head, and then find the lower jaw on the bottom right here. That's what we're looking for. If you scroll down, you'll see it highlighted. You want to set the lower jaw to none. And then scroll down to apply. And then once it's applied, click done. It's taking just a moment. Clicking done. Okay, so it's dropped us back in the scene. Now when we play it,
Someone told me long ago.
fixed.
There's a calm before
right?
the storm. I know it's been coming for some time.
She looks pretty blank at the moment, so let's just demonstrate how this actually works with the morph, what you call it, like basically face morphing system. So if we go back to the inspector for our character, I'm going to go back to the hierarchy view, and click RT-Voice for the character, and then I'm going to scroll down to the MCS script, which is MCS Character Manager. We're looking for the morph, and then I'm going to just type in happy. So if we scroll this, see this little E control happy that popped up? If we scroll that to the right, you'll see she'll start to smile. So with that cranked all the way to the right where she's smiling, we'll then run the demo again, and you'll see she maintains that kind of happy look.
Someone told me long ago.
While talking.
There's a calm before the storm.
It's so cool.
I know it's been coming for some time.
So then,
so they say.
Let me pause that for a sec. So consider this. Once this dynamic talking is working, you can then take things like your morphs. Let's go back to happy for a sec. And then while it's playing,
it'll rain a sunny day.
You could crank that dial down,
shining down like water.
kind of get a different expression out of it while she's talking.
Have you ever seen the rain?
Go to angry, for example.
I want to know. Have you ever seen the rain?
So strategic use of these kind of emotions while the talking dialogue is going on can create some really interesting stuff, but that's a little bit beyond the scope of what we're doing here. But that's basically the gist of it. We've gone through how to take the character from scratch and then use those two systems, that RT-Voice and that SALSA, to make it so you can take a text source and then have that read back by the character dynamically at runtime. One thing I do want you to know is that if you take this is our reading file, and this file gets extremely long for some reason. Let's press play there. Save that, and we're going to press play. Have a look at this. She'll think for a second. Might seem like it's not working.
Someone told me long ago.
Then she'll read it. That got me a few times. So notice that if you give her a ton of text, it's going to take a second on startup to actually work. So don't think it's like a false start. Well, I think that about covers everything that we wanted to touch on today. We talked about how to rig up the character, how to make it talk, how to make the eyes work. We talked about eye tracking. And then we showed some brief animation stuff, how to rig that up. So one other thing just to show real quick with the animations, I don't know if we did this or not, but when we play it, let's go ahead and switch it
Someone told me long ago.
Talking.
There's a calm before the storm.
So notice here, the camera's a little close, let's back it up a little.
When it's over, so they say. It'll rain a sunny day.
Notice that she's going through her talk. She's going to go through her talk animation, but the lip sync is laid over the top of the talk animation. Yeah, exactly. So it's laid over the top of the talk animation. So this layers on top of animations. It's very powerful in that way that you don't have to do that yourself. Let's let that play for a second here.
I want to know. Have you ever seen the rain? I want to know. Have you ever seen the rain?
So it's really cool stuff here.
Yesterday and days
before. The fact that just works so easily, right?
Sun is cold and rain is hard. I know been that way for all my time.
Make it a little more dramatic.
On it goes. Through the circle.
Anyway, so that's the gist of it.
I know it can't stop.
How to rig these things together. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I know we covered a lot today, but I think that's the core of it to get you running. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Check us out, and we'll be back next time. Thanks.